Well, we are right in the middle of the U.S. presidential election season. The claims and counterclaims, as you know, are flying fast and furious. But how do you know what's accurate and what's not? Jackie Guzda is a campaign media analyst who has been dissecting the commercials we see and searching for the facts. Welcome.
Thank you.
Boy, I've been seeing a lot of them around, and we were talking about this. Are there any facts in these commercials?
Sure, there are facts, but the facts are stretched, the facts are misrepresented, the facts are cherry-picked.
But you see at the bottom where they reference a newspaper or a speech that the candidate has made as a point of fact while this commercial is running.
Yes, but that information is framed according to the campaign that's putting it out.
Is it done often or all the time in a
all the
presidential election?
time, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have a commercial that we're going to show, and we're going to talk about it when we come back. This is one from Governor Mitt Romney's campaign, and it's titled "These Hands." Let's take a look at it, and then we'll talk about it.
If you've been successful, you didn't get there on your own. You didn't get there on your own. I'm always struck by people who think, well, it must be because I was just so smart. There are a lot of smart people out there. It must be because I worked harder than everybody else. Let me tell you something. If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
My father's hands didn't build this company. My hands didn't build this company. My son's hands aren't building this company. Did somebody else take out the loan on my father's house to finance the equipment? Did somebody else make...
Now, we have seen this again and again. In fact, at the Republican National Convention, behind it, it said, you didn't build
that. That's
now,
right.
Was it taken out of context as far as you can tell with the full quote?
Of course it was taken out of context. If Obama could have had a redo button on that, he would have hit it right then. No, what Obama did is, if you look at the entire speech and that phrase, you didn't build that, in context, you can see that he was referencing to the people who came before you that helped you out. And he mentioned specifically the people in education, in infrastructure, and in research. In education, he said, there might have been a great teacher who helped you along. Infrastructure, he said, you didn't build the roads and bridges that get your goods and services across them. And then he said the internet wasn't just built yesterday. It came from a government program. The military created the ARPANET, which preceded the internet.
So the preamble was taken out, and technically it's accurately correct, but not really.
No.
When you take it out of context.
Not really, because the Romney campaign picked up that one phrase and ran with it so they could sell their narrative that Obama is against business.
I want to talk about that gotcha media stuff in just a moment, but let's take a look at a President Obama commercial. And this one is titled, You Didn't Build That. Well, that's part of the one we just saw. This one is called Firms. Let's take a look at this one right now.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with pride.
Now, this one is especially damning in that you have the candidate singing and not very well. We'll talk about the substance of it. But you have this candidate singing, and it's almost farcical, isn't it?
Of course it is. And you know what? This ad is such a generalization. It paints Romney to be this evil outsourcer of jobs. Now, Romney is running on his experience at Bain, that he made a lot of money and that he created jobs, and he'll be good for America. But if you look at the specifics in this ad, he just didn't outsource jobs. It is true, it is very true, that Bain Capital would take over firms that weren't doing very well and kind of turn them around. Right. And they did that by outsourcing. No doubt, but if you look at the specifics, you look at a company called SMTC. They're an electronics manufacturer. Bain bought them, they opened a plant in Mexico. If you look at Chip Act, they make computer chips for places like Intel, IBM. They opened their firm after Bain took over in China.
Isn't there a question as well as whether he was at Bain at that time when it happened?
That's the specific about it.
But you don't see anything about that.
You don't see
and again,
it,
you have that narrative of the song, him singing in the background, that makes it kind of silly.
Sure, they left it out. I mean, if you look at SMTC, Romney had left Bain 5 months earlier. And if you look at Chipak, he had left Bain 1 month earlier. Now, here's the thing. It's that little gray area.
Right.
Romney just didn't quit. He took a leave of absence. He maintained his holdings in Bain.
Right.
But if you look at the SEC documents at the time, you look at internal memos from Bain, you look at the news reports, there is absolutely no evidence, as this ad says there is, that Romney was running Bain at the time.
This is all very nuanced for someone who's not dropping the kids off or paying their mortgage or working 2 jobs. Do these commercials really work in that we're so busy as a society,
Yes.
we see this, make a conclusion, decide on who we're going to vote for?
Right, yeah, you get this knee-jerk reaction.
Because you laid it out exactly,
Yeah.
you know, but it's really not accurate, neither was the one previous.
It's not specific. It's not accurate. You get this knee-jerk reaction. You judge the candidate as either they're good or bad for you. And that's not what's really going on when you look at the facts.
Jackie Guzda, thank you so much. Very
Thank you,
interesting. I
Frank.
appreciate that, separating the fact from fiction. And, you know, as the season goes on, I guess we should be more cognizant of what's out there. And if the subject is important, you know, we read about it and find out how it goes.
Right.
I thank you very much,
Thank
Jackie.
you.
Very nice.